Yo, what's good YouTube? It's boardzy, and this is going to be a review of the Razer Atlas, a tempered glass mousepad released by Razer. And yeah, simply put, this is going to compete with other glass pads on the market like the skypad, the superglide pad from Pulsar. In terms of specs, it is a 450 by 400 millimeter size, and it's coming in at $100. So honestly, it is not the cheapest or the largest glass pad on the market, but with Razer, the big thing is the global availability. So for regions that couldn't really get glass pads, this might be your only option. But let's say you're just in the market for a glass pad, all the options are available. Which one is going to be the best? That is what this video is going to try to answer. Yeah, first things first, I'm going to classify this as a speed glass pad. We have seen these more controlled options start to pop up, and that's definitely not what this is. The glide is going to be absolutely effortless, which is a word I've used to describe glass mouse pads before, but you can really just like flick your mouse from one side of the pad to the other with zero resistance, while on something like the superglide or the skypad, it's hard to show. It's almost like the mouse skates like kind of get locked into the surface, so there is a bit of friction initially, which can lead to some more control. That's just going to be much less present on the Atlas pads. Okay, we're about to get real scientific with a friction test. If anybody wants to slow this down and compare the speeds, feel free to do so. But yeah, there is going to be a hair more control on other tempered glass pads like the Superglide and the Skypad. But honestly, since both pads are going to perform so fast compared to like the average cloth or even a hybrid pad, if you've used one, you won't have a problem getting adjusted to the speed of another. But yeah, fast experience definitely should be a takeaway. Another thing about this pad that's interesting is that it's 5 millimeters, which I saw a few people freaking out over. And the main concern is that it is going to be uncomfortable on your wrist because it's just a thick slab of glass. But as you can see, they have, what are they called? Beveled edges? I hope I don't sound like an idiot. Let's just say rounded edges. So especially horizontally, you're going to have no issues. Like, it feels completely smooth. You don't need a sleeve. But if you're doing anything that requires like sharp vertical tracking, then you might notice some discomfort like on vertical motions, specifically upwards. So yeah, you definitely can notice the higher profile compared to other glass pads, but it's something that definitely did go away from use for me. And I would say the quality of life on this just pretty good. And what I mean by that is the dust issue is pretty tame. As you can see, there are like very small specks of dust, but swiping my mouse over them does not cause like an extremely scrapey sound or just ruin the experience. That has happened at times, but just not as prevalent. But honestly, the Superglide pad doesn't have too much of an issue with that as well. There's no issues with this pad being cold. It does have a cool feeling, obviously, but it never gets like super cold. And just overall temperature-wise, there aren't too many changes. This has just been a fairly consistent glass pad, which is definitely what you're looking for. You're expecting durable, consistent performance basically forever. When you're spending $100 on a slab of glass designed as a mouse pad, you're expecting basically perfection. Another thing that Razer mentioned is that the Atlas is smoother and quieter than other glass pads. So I'll just do a quick little sound test on the Skypad and then the Atlas. And something you can notice is definitely a less scrapey sound and also feeling on your mouse skate. So I will say, presumably due to however they polish the glass, that this does have a smoother feeling with PTFE skates than other glass pads, but again, it is going to be faster and a touch less controlled. So it's going to come down to personal preference. I would say I just all around prefer using the other pads, likely because I'm used to them a bit more, also due to the size, but it would be stupid to sit here and say that the Atlas is a bad pad in comparison. One area where I think it is actually pretty unique and interesting is the base. It just has a dotted rubber base. I'm pretty sure the same material as they use on the Razer Strider, and it is just absolutely perfect. I don't know if it's literally like, yeah, it does move ever so slightly, but when you're just putting a normal amount of force, like with your arm planted on it, it's going to be an absolutely perfect base. The Pulsar Superglide also has an interesting like silicone base, but I feel like Skypad is definitely the worst of the bunch, just with the four corner feet that just don't really do a great job at what they do. So yeah, definitely a great base on the Razer Atlas, and I mean, I don't know what else there is to say about it. I was still able to use this and perform in game. I use around like a 37 centimeter per 360 sensitivity. So even though it is a smaller pad and I do use like a medium sense, I was still able to use the pad no problem. If you are looking for something with a lot of control, use an extremely lightweight mouse. probably don't go for this, you know what I'm saying? But if you're used to glass pads, just want to test a new surface out, it definitely is unique and very different from other glass pads on the market, so there is some value there, and it's just a high quality product from Razer. This is not a review unit. I don't know how Razer released a mouse pad, and I wasn't their first guy they went to, but you know what? I just picked this unit up when I saw that the product released. So there was no review unit bias, if you think that is a thing, in this video. Obviously no seal of approval. I just don't really give it to glass pads because I feel like when you can buy an artisan pad for literally half the price, it's just hard to justify the glass pad gimmick. I've never been a fan of just how these surfaces actually feel in comparison to a normal cloth or like polyester hybrid mouse pads. So yeah, it's not my cup of tea, but this is definitely a solid glass pad. Honestly, over the past 6 months, I have put a lot more time on glass pads, and I've gotten comfortable with them, but it's still not something I prefer, and the Atlas, in my opinion, does not kill the other pads on the market. It's a solid option, and if it's the only one you can get locally, then go for it. But if I had to pick from all three of them, the Atlas would not be my first choice. Even though, like I mentioned, there are some quality of life improvements, and overall it is just a high quality offering. If you already have a glass pad, I would say it's really like not going to be a practical improvement, but if you just like have a passion for mouse pads, it's worth checking out. But yeah, that's going to be all. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Any other questions, let me know in the comments below. That is going to be all. Peace.